I'm here today to talk about my top 5 favorite books of 2019. So, as always, I have to put a disclaimer here because I always get a comment complaining about it. I'm not much of a new book reader, so these books weren't published in 2019. They just happen to be books that I read in 2019. And the books are in no particular order except for my top book of the year. This was hard and easy for me this year because I didn't track my reading at all last year, and it's hard because I couldn't remember everything that I'd read. But that actually made it easy in another way, because if I actually remembered that book and I remembered loving that book, then it was definitely a top book of the year. So what are my top 5 books? I'm going to begin with my all-time favorite, The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs by Stephen L. Bersati. The second, and this is in no particular order then, Santa Evita by Thomas Eloy Martinez. The Unwritten series, I read volumes 1 to 4 by Mike Carey and Peter Gross. Flaubert's Parrot by Julian Barnes, and My Favorite Things Monsters by Emile Ferris. The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs is my top book of the year for many reasons. Firstly, as soon as I was done listening to it, I wanted to listen to it again. And that's how I knew that I really, really enjoyed that. It reignited my love for dinosaurs, and Bersati was able to make all the complicated science behind paleontology, such as all the different spreadsheets and the calculations and explaining how the gait of dinosaurs could tell their size. He made it all understandable and interesting. He intermixed the right amount of personal anecdotes with facts to keep it entertaining. And one thing I love that he did is when he introduced another paleontologist, he made them human. Instead of just talking about their accomplishments in the field, he also talked about their personalities, which was really engaging. The way the book was structured was great as well. The overall book is about the beginning and the end of dinosaurs, as you can tell by the title, and all the stuff that happens in between, while each chapter delved into more specific aspects. And you'd also frequently call back to previous chapters to not only remind you, but to show you that what he was currently discussing was relevant to the overall theme of the book. Even if you aren't interested in dinosaurs, and I mean, like, come on, everyone's interested in dinosaurs, this is a great nonfiction read for everyone. Santa Evita is another favorite, mostly because of the style. This is the story of the body of Eva Peron intermixed with the life of Eva Peron, and notice that they're different. We're talking about the body after she dies, and what happens to her physical body after she dies, and that's intermixed with her actual life. It's part nonfiction and part fiction. It follows some real things that happened to Eva and her body afterwards, but also imagines what real life people were thinking at the time. And I found it a great way to learn about this really interesting point in history, while keeping things really engaging. So even the fictional bits I felt were relevant to learning about this, because they kind of let you be aware of public sentiment. So while it's not, 100% true, it was still very valuable information. If you haven't heard of the Unwritten series, it's a series of comics about a boy who's now a grown-up, who served as inspiration for his father's middle grade Harry Potter-esque type series, very popular series in the world. And then arises the question, is he actually that boy from the stories? Is he actually, taken from the pages and brought into real life? And he eventually learns that after his father's death, he left him a set of really interesting tools that allow him to travel into and through books, which is really neat. There's a whole volume about Moby Dick, and it's really nice. The art is also really great. Flaubert's Parrots is another book like Santa Evita, which mixes fiction with non-fiction. And this is the story of a man obsessed with Gustave Flaubert and documenting his life. It isn't, however, a straightforward biography of Flaubert, but I feel like I came out of it knowing more about him than if I had read a traditional biography. So what it did was it kind of grouped events in Flaubert's life into themes as opposed to a linear timeline. And there were 3 timelines included, and those 3 timelines all focused on different things. Now, I hadn't read anything about Flaubert before reading this, but I still found it highly entertaining and believe that it would be even more engaging after having read his works. And lastly, My Favorite Things Monsters is another graphic novel. I read a lot of graphic novels this year, so they definitely had to be featured on my list. And this book is definitely one to show someone who doesn't believe that comics are literature. It's about a girl obsessed with monster movies trying to solve the mystery of her neighbor's death, which delves into some of the more gritty parts of history. The art is outstanding, it's colorful and vibrant where it needs to be, it's withdrawn in other parts. The only thing I will say is a warning that it leaves on quite a cliffhanger, and the second part doesn't come out until next month. So I'm really excited to see where this story goes. So what was your favorite book of last year? What was your favorite comic of last year? And thank you for watching.